This is Drop Tent Media Network.
Seriously, Dad?
Seriously, Dad? Two father comedians out of Philadelphia. Seriously, Dad?
Dad? Seriously?
Dad?
Seriously?
Yo, welcome back. Season 2. Seriously, Dad. Seriously, Dad? Jesus. What if his kid yelled, seriously, Dad, in the background? That would have been great.
That'd be great.
Oh, boy, we're rolling.
We're rolling.
We're rolling.
We're in the house today. Actually, not in the house, but we're all in a different house.
We are.
But we got Joel Richardson in the house from Soul Joel in Sunnybrook. Thanks for joining us today.
Man, you guys, congratulations. You guys have now found another niche of comedy, man. It ties you guys both together, but also it's just fun because everybody's got a story. Seriously, Dad?
Seriously?
Yeah,
What kind of fucked up story?
June 15th, we're all going to be hanging together at Soul Joel for the live show and podcast. So if you're listening and you got a dad, or we all got dads, so come on down, get tickets at souljoels.com.
That's going to be a fun night.
It is.
It's going to be a great night.
We'll do the comedy show, but then we're going to do live podcasts, hopefully be interactive with some of the guests there.
Talk a little shit, hang out, right? All the good stuff.
I heard Neil's going to be there, even though he's not on camera right now.
No, Neil's just a voice. I will be there.
Odd voice, there he is.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Jay just said Joel Richardson. I know Soul Joel. That's it. You're in my phone as Soul Joel. Your first name is Soul. Your last name is Joel. If I reference you, I'm like, yeah, Soul Joel. You know, Soul Joel. I forgot that your last name was Richardson, dude.
You know what's funny? How it's evolved, man. When I introduce myself at the place as Joel, half the people get like, oh, it's Soul Joel. The other half are like, oh, I didn't think that was a person. Like, I'm like, what?
I just thought it rhymes.
It's not bigger than my face, which is right here.
Yeah.
You should get somebody to like AI a logo, a cartoon logo that we can just kind of pop in there.
Cartoonish.
Yeah, yes. Right. Yeah. But now you're not a dad, but this is great because you are like a live-in uncle, right? You live with your
and that's one of my jokes. I sold my house in New Jersey, moved directly into my sister's basement. So now I live with both my 3 nieces and my nephew. I'm the fun uncle, but I don't have to. I get to clock out. You guys never clock out.
No,
you know, I'm the uncle when I'm around. They love, so it's I don't have to be like the parent that disciplines. I just get to be the funkle.
Have you ever had to discipline? Have you ever had to like come down?
Dude, I don't think they've ever heard me yell. You know what I mean?
Really?
No, that's not true. Definitely. I'm like, now I think about it, they've definitely seen me.
They've heard some shit.
That's
good though.
Yeah, I always said like Soul Joel's my baby, and like if it ever happened, it happened. But for like the last 10 years, I thought it was never going to happen. But then this girl asked me to salsa dance back in December, and now I got a girlfriend, boys.
Hey, all right. So hold on. How good of a salsa dancer are you? Like, are you really salsa dancing? Or are you just like moving your hips?
Yeah. Well, that's how I got the nickname Soul Joel, man. I was always dancing. I grew up mostly white guys, and I would go with all my friends dancing if we had off on Friday or Monday to a club in New Jersey, in Cherry Hill. But I love dancing. Man. She's really good at it. I just try to keep up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So,
it's funny. I think I know the club in New Jersey you're referencing. I feel like I know the club in New Jersey.
It used to be called Iguanas, and then it was Top Dog.
Top Dog. See, I know it as Top Dog. Now it's something else. It's some weird name now.
Top Dog was in Scranton was the best arcade that I played so much skee ball there. That was my club. I went clubbing at Top Dog too, but we were like skee ball.
Yeah. Well, the Top Dog in Cherry Hill, it's actually skeet ball because that's kind of what. That's what you had to do.
You didn't win the finger trap, but you did
but your fingers got trapped. Exactly.
That's crazy.
We were off to the races, boys.
There we are. So wait, did she ask you to salsa dance at your spot or were you somewhere else?
My spot, man.
Nice.
It was and then like as soon as I started dancing, it was like the first time I'd ever danced at one of my events. Oh. So like I turn around and like paparazzi, like people.
Oh, all the people are
like. And it's like, dude, first of all, don't put that on social media. I don't care. It's just not great. Like
people are going to know. You could go from Soul Joel to just Joel. You could also like go in the reverse.
Yeah.
He was Soul Joel. Now he's just like Joel.
Yeah. Exactly.
Did she know you own the joint? Did she know that you own the joint?
She had been coming to like events, and we had talked a little bit like here and there. But she's divorced but no kids, so another year or two from now, I might be a return guest on the podcast. And now
that would be awesome. Well, you did it right.
That's awesome. So she cased you out though. She knew you owned the joint. She kept on showing up, and she was like, "Today's the night. I'm going to ask him to dance tonight." She texted her girlfriend. She's like, "I'm going to do it." And then she did it. She knew. She knew. Nice.
Well, you're like the mayor there. I mean, it's like anything there. It's like you're so involved. The amount of things that are going on there had never been like I didn't realize this, but my grandparents used to go polka dancing there back in the day.
Hilarious.
Because it was like the epicenter of what to do there. The pool was there. Like everybody that I know that grew up in this area, because I didn't, but my dad's side of the family did, that was huge there. So I think so many people from that era now are just so excited to see it reunited with that.
So the building was built in 1931. So the floors and the ceiling were all built so you could stand in the front of the stage and hear all the way in the back, because it was before microphones, which we can't even imagine.
Shit.
Like, you're like, dude, comedy is very easy. All you need is 2 speakers, 1 microphone. You're like, 1931, there was no mics.
Some dude just screaming punchlines at the top of his lungs.
Yeah. Sinatra was just not.
Dude, I've taken kids to like, Greece a couple times, to and Italy. And if you go to Pompeii, there's one of the amphitheaters where they would have entertainment. If you stand at this one spot, the amphitheater was designed, and you hear yourself in surround sound
all the way around.
It is absolutely insane, and you're like, oh my! It makes sense because you're right. Like our mentality is we got to have the best technology, we got mixers, and you're like, if you just have a well-designed place, that's how it works. People, that's what every time there's like a public square in a lot of these older, European towns, it was there because that's where people went to hear the news. Like, and you had to be like, there was no scrolling on your phone, there weren't newspapers. Like, it's crazy to think that we
hear ye, right? Doesn't it just say hear ye? And you just listen.
Yeah.
Well, so Soul Joel's is like the entertainment mall of that area. There's so much shit going on in there at any given time. And hats off to you, because when I met you, you were working somewhere else, and I know you were doing a few things, and you just knocked it out of the fucking park with this joint.
Dude, it's crazy to think about, because as you're going through it, you're like, I expected it to go a certain way, and like anything in life, you're like, you just got to keep adapting and changing it. And, everything that happened was meant for me to be here. And I tell people, like, I love comedy. Comedy's my first love, but I get more fulfillment out of doing all these events. Like, we just talked about it off camera, but Ian Bagg was here, and he came Wednesday night, and he goes, "Oh man, this place is packed." And he walked in, he goes, 400 people for bingo? Oh, I'm doing the small room. All right, okay. Because Soul Joel's, it's got a multi-room entertainment center, but I'm doing the small room.
Yeah, dude, it's all ages. Like, you have like stuff. My daughter's been there several times for whether they're character breakfasts, dancing. There was the all ages magic show. Like, that's the cool thing is it's something for literally everybody. Like,
all inclusive.
It's crazy. Like, even the open mic night, you go there and it's like, you see the car, like, oh man, this place is packed. You're like, oh, line dancing. But those people sometimes take a break and they come on in the room. And so, like, to have that crossover, like, that's the mall effect that you're talking about. Like,
and people are walking around, they're all smiling. They're like, hey, how you doing? It's like the energy is just good. The food is fucking good. It's a good spot,
that's all my brother-in-law, man. It's his restaurant. He does all the catering, and he was in the South Philly in the Navy Yard right before the pandemic and everything. I brought him in because I knew I couldn't do all this without him. So it's one less headache and one thing I have to deal with. But we try to have a vibe in every room, man. And dude, it's funny you guys say that. I just posted it today on my Facebook that I said it was the Cat in the Hat.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it's literally like, because people don't understand this, man. The radicals, whether it's the left or the right, like, dude, I don't get involved in politics. It's the worst, man. You don't understand. I just want to bring people together through laughter, because the radical right hate the fact that I have drag queens, Then the radical left hate the fact that I just had Nick DiPaolo or Jim Brewer, any of the guys from Fox News. I'm like, dude, I can't cater to any one of you guys. Like, I have to have everyone. Just shut up.
You know, I'm sick of it. You know why that's funny though? Ironic maybe is the word. I really am at this point in my life apolitical. Like I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And I used to maybe like hear a message and be like, oh, that guy doesn't align with how I really feel, and I maybe don't like him. Once you put that shit away, and you just have fun and laugh at what someone said that was fun, life gets so much fucking better. You just take all that away and go, Jim Brewer just dropped a hell of a punchline and I'm laughing my ass off. Who gives a fuck? Yeah.
It should be funny, not funny. Dad, not dad. That's it.
Exactly. That's it.
Well, and that's why they used to teach debate in school. I was doing this with my class. We're talking about like Roman school systems, and it came up that if you get to like the third level of education, the goal was to teach you how to public speak and debate, and you had to be able to argue both sides. So like if there was an issue, and this is true if you did a forensics team, at some point, like you go to the event, it's a coin flip. You don't know which side you're going to be on. And it's like, so that we've gotten away from, I think, doing that. And it's harder for us to put each other with the algorithm, the way that our phones, and it's harder for us to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes nowadays. I think it is. And I think the algorithm's making it even harder because we're only getting shoved down our throat the things that, you know, we're thinking or talking about.
Yeah. Dude, Giannis posted about this probably like a year ago. He was saying like with all the algorithms, because of what you like and comment on, your own opinion only comes through. So for most people that aren't like us, they're like, they go crazy when they see something they don't agree with. It's like, because that's what's in your algorithm.
It's only giving you. It's giving you a reflection of you.
It's only giving you.
Yeah, it's like, and you already have you. Why the fuck do you need an algorithm to do it? But yes, it's making you like you.
Why?
So, unreal.
Well, like even with their kids, like I think it's a hard thing. As I knew as a teacher, I see some teachers. I used to do discipline team as a duty. So instead of having to do CAF duty stuff, you'd have a teacher write a kid up, and then I'd have to go and like help solve it. And what I would notice over time is some of the teachers had a hard time teaching people who were not them, who didn't think the same way they were. And I think the same with parenting. Like parents have the most trouble when they realize their kid is not like them or is more to the other version of themselves that sometimes can be really tricky. But if we don't expose ourselves to everything, then and there's so much out there now. But we're only seeing one side more and more because of that.
And you can be so much funnier if you fuck with both sides. If you pick on both sides and you talk about things at both sides, you're 50% more fun. You're going to have 50% more stuff to talk about. If you become your own algorithm, you just talk about your stuff, you get kind of boring pretty quickly, I would say.
That's why I like Bill Burr so much.
What's that?
That's why I like Bill Burr so much.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck.
I feel like he plays with both sides. He does that so well.
Yeah.
And that's the key. The key, because otherwise you're going to immediately alienate half the people you're talking to anyways. You know, that's what Thanksgiving dinner's for, you know?
Right.
Well, dude, I don't know if you guys ever do this, but I sit in the back of the room and I'm like, if something happens or you get heckled or like whatever, I see how I would handle it and I think about it in my head and then I see what the comic does. And dude, when Ian Bagg was here, there was a mom and a daughter sitting up front and they were white. Then he started talking to another lady. She was black and had a daughter. And I was like just thinking about it's crazy. And you know, it's like family night or something. He flipped it and goes, oh, look, we have the home and away team. I was like, oh.
Dude, last night there was a scenario too where
everyone died, you know, it was fun.
Well, last night I was watching that as we had a comic, had the crowd interacted, and I was kind of watching that to see like how you react to that. Cause it's funny. It is interesting to see like when you have people who maybe aren't into that comic. Like when I do the late night, I'm bringing like 6 or 7, I say up front, like this is going to be a buffet, you know, like 6 to 8 minutes. I'm usually like, you know, we can sit through anything for 6 minutes, right, ladies? So it's just like, you can, you know, but you have to be able to ride that wave. And I think for the most part, comedy allows for that. Like even last night with that, like that scenario, like they didn't leave, they were fine. Like,
I feel like we're getting away from where you were maybe 2-3 years ago, where you were a left and you were a right and you were a pro this and you were an anti. I feel like we're starting to get away from that because it was annoying for a lot of people, I feel. And I think people are really just starting to relax a little bit and let the jokes happen and just enjoy it. And you own a comedy club, so you see a ton of comedy. Would you agree with that, you think? Or you think it's
I think we're a few years from it not mattering. And like, dude, you're at a comedy club. You got to understand, like, it just doesn't matter. Because here's the thing, too. Don't celebrate. It's going to be different 4 years from now. So just stay here, man. Don't get up here. Don't get down here. But I'm in a different situation, like what Jay was saying. With those ladies, they came out because it was a comedy show at my place. They weren't necessarily fans of the comics that were there, so they didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Some people don't do any research because they trust my band. Whoopsie cakes.
My bad.
I remember working at the Dome, and I forget who it was. Maybe it wasn't Nick. One of the for other times was there, but there was he went hard, and there was a party bus that had come up, and it was a family. And half the family had no idea what they were stepping into. And the one woman, I had a grimace on her face, and she was close to the stage. And he went hard on the paint on this girl, and she had no idea what she was stepping into.
You get a lot of complaints? You get a lot of complaints as a club owner on shit like that? Like, are people emailing and texting and calling?
Yeah.
What are you saying? Are you just deal with it?
Well, if it's really bad, I don't respond.
Okay, I like that.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, we're recording. Nobody's listening. It's fine.
No, nobody's. Yeah, man, it's great. Like I got a complaint. We had a band play outside in the social house, and they used to do it every year on May 1st, whatever day May landed. They called it May Day. But then the venue that they were doing it at didn't have it anymore since before COVID. So he brought it to here. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Well, I found out the hard way that the noise ordinance is 10 o'clock.
I was wondering that night because I think I was there that night and I saw that and okay.
Yeah. So I was like, where? So I got this long email from this local neighborhood Karen, and she was like, we had many sleepless nights last summer, and we're not going to deal with this, so you better shut it down, and I expect a response. Just that response, I was like, you can expect whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, well, even going the board teachers tour that I do, I know I've seen some of the comments, because then either they're expecting, either if they're seeing some of the content on there, and then some of the stuff, from some of the comics is PG-13-ish or maybe more. And there's always somebody that has something to say about something, Yeah. And I think that's just that's the way of the world. We all want to complain. It gives somebody some power that I don't think they have in their life, and they need that, And it's well, hey, write your little letter.
Sign it. Better when it was just 3, 6, and 10. NBC, ABC, and CBS.
Yeah, there you go.
And it all shut off at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's so when the TV used to go to snow or whatever. Like there was a certain thing.
It was just done, right?
Transmitting.
Yeah, we're done.
I think I think at some point we're going to see something happen. Or I think I hear from the kids sometimes that a lot of their parents are doing the thing where you got to charge your phone in the kitchen. You don't take it into the room. Or we had a guest, Vishnu Vaku, is a really good comedian.
Yeah.
And he does, he says the same thing. As soon as the kids come in from school, they put it away so they can go do their stuff. And I think that we need to see more of self-regulating with that stuff.
Yeah.
Do your nieces and nephews, do they have screen time restrictions? You know anything about?
Yeah, it's tough, man. Yeah, I just know that they just say you can't. My sister says you can't spend all day on your phone. And
it's but
it's tough.
And there's a lot. We set our girls have tablets, so we set restrictions through Amazon. And then there's other stuff they have to, after so long of playing games, they have to read for 15 minutes, even on the app. So then they have to pull up one of the books. They have to be on it and do that for 15 minutes, and then they get some bonus time. But then it has a shut off. They can't be on it before 7:30 in the morning, and they can't be on it after 7:30 at night. Because then you really should have the last hour and the first hour of your day clear, without having that influx of stimulus. Because teachers, we can't compete. I can't compete with these kids who are having video games up on their screen. I can't compete.
No. Now, Joe, you being the uncle, Yeah. Are you the cool uncle, or are you're not a ball breaker, are you? Are you fucking with these kids? Are you cool uncle?
We'll be back right after this message.
Hey, fans of Seriously Dad, we want to let you know that we have a live podcast opportunity come up. We're doing a comedy show. We're doing a live recording. And when better, the eve of Father's Day, June 15th. June 15th, this year, we're going to be at Soul Joel's in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Tickets are on sale right now. Go to souljoels.com for June 15th, 8 p.m. show. It's going to be me. It's going to be Albert Davis. We got Neil Wood from Drop 10 Media, our producer. We got special guests coming. We're going to have a great time. So get this for the father in your life. If you got a father, if you have a father, if you want to be a father, if you're not a father, get those tickets, souljoels.com. We'll see you on June 15th.
Seriously, Dad. Seriously.
You I a little bit, man. Like I try to do it in a loving way. You know what I mean? Like when we were tossing a frisbee, and my one niece just doesn't have athletic ability, and I just went, that was a garbage throw.
Yeah, you gotta let them know. You gotta let them know.
You just gotta let them know. And then she just looked at me like, "You're right. You're right."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You need those people in your life.
Someone
that let you know the reality of the situation. I think that because the parents are always going to be like, "Oh, that was so.
That's a great throw.
Here's a trophy for trying."
Right.
But that the aunt and the uncle position, if this was a team, that's a very important position because you are the balance of like authority, but like loose set of rules. But still, yeah, and you still got to be like when they're with you, you still got to be. It's not helter skelter. Like go have fun, blah. You got to like still.
Well, dude, and this is like completely different. But I don't know if you guys do this, but as an uncle, I don't have kids, but I always think about it. I'm like, whatever I'm doing, if my niece and nephew found out about this, what would they think? And I kind of live my life like that. Like I'm like, dude, if they found out about it or I said it, like I don't have to worry about it because I would say it whether they were there or not. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. You guys are both good dudes, so I don't think it applies to you. But
but I think you're right. I think if you were gonna at any given point, I gotta know that if they were gonna hear about whatever. Would they be proud of me? Right. And what's the age range of your?
So the ones I live with, the oldest is 15, and then middle nephew is 10, and then I have twin nieces. That's a whole. They're 6.
Oh, wow.
She wanted 3. She got 3 and 4.
Wow. Do you live with the 15-year-old?
Yeah. But you wouldn't know it. She doesn't come out of her room.
That makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she has to go to school or get something to eat, and then it's right back in.
It is right to the room.
Yeah.
Is she doing the annoying 15-year-old stuff where she like you ask her questions, she gives you a short quippy answer, and you're like, okay, eye roll, and you're so annoying, and that's dumb, and they do all that shit.
Yeah, and it's like a little bit of cursing here and there, and it's like, whoa, like that's not good at all. Like you don't. That's where I kind of step in. Like, don't talk to your mom like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. That's something that all uncles and aunts should do. Like, you have to always be there to support the relationship and the respect for your mother. Yeah,
listen, that's my job. I can talk to her. Like,
I grew up with her. I can say whatever the fuck I want. But you,
My kids are. Well, we just got an email yesterday that they're going to be showing this week the Changing Bodies video.
Oh, shit!
And sent us the link ahead of time so that we could preview it to then be able to have and this is like 5th grade, so my daughter's 10. So it's just like, and I'm like nervous because like she's like the person who's going to script. She's going to repeat back whatever she's hearing. So I'm like, all right, let me watch this video. And they start by playing Hangman. It's a bunch of kids playing Hangman, and the word is puberty. But the way that they reveal it, it looks like it could be poverty for most of the time. Like, where is this going?
No, who the fuck came up with that?
So easy, and it's like this all white background, and they're all like asking questions, and then it's like, what is even puberty? And then they float in, and they're like talking about breasts being fuller, and I'm like, I'm like cringing. I couldn't even. It was like an 18-minute video. 4 minutes in, I'm pulling the ripcord, and I'm like, I I got to sit here and watch it, and it's so uncomfortable. But like because I've heard my daughters talking in the bath the other day, and they were commenting on like her armpit hair and all of this, and I'm like,
here we go, you're in it.
No. She's like, Daddy, I'm a woman now. I have armpit hair.
Oh my God, you're like, just shut up, please. If you can,
I understand what you're saying. Not close, but okay.
It's so uncomfortable, and it just like you just like at some point they're just going to be a woman all of a sudden, and they
are.
And now it's like you're doing that
so quick.
You know what? It's funny when I found out I was having a daughter outside of wedlock and a relationship. I was no longer with my mother. Sinning like a motherfucker. Yeah, just sinning hard.
Well, this is a whole other podcast.
Yeah, this is a whole different one. But the first person I called was my aunt. I didn't call my mom. I didn't call my dad. I called my aunt, and I was like, "Yo," and she knew. I was like, "Yo." She was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Well, I don't know if it's wrong, but here's what I got going on," and. She was so good. She was so good. Like I felt like I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be all right. Now I had 9 months to flip.
Pregnant,
right. Yeah, I had a job and shit. Yeah. But for the next 9 months, I flip flop back and forth. But the relationship with the uncle aunt was very strong. Where I felt like I could call her. There was going to be no judgment, just like positive energy, and we're going to figure this out. And it was very calming. Now. Are you prepared? I was gonna say, are you prepared for that? But I'm just joking. But like, do they come with you with that shit?
Yeah, man. Like I feel such a connection, and even so, I was living with my youngest sister and her husband, the one that's the chef here. Mm-hmm. When I left New York and then moved to Jersey, I lived with both of my sisters at one point. But then when they moved to here, we all lived in the same house, 11 of us, and a dog for a whole year. So like. We all are like closer than we should be. Like
full house, yeah. You are
like boundaries for 10. It was for 10 months, like 2 months shy of a year. But
wow,
I feel closer than I probably most aunts and uncles because of that. And I've lived with them now for 4 years. And the other one I lived in their house in New Jersey for a year about like 8 years ago. So I always think like, if I got that phone call, I would hope that they could come to me. And I always think about that. I'm like, am I financially sound to bail them out if anything happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would want to try to help them.
Well, I mean, it may not be I'm pregnant or I have a kid on the way, but you're going to get a call about they're going to hit you with something.
Yeah.
Something that they're embarrassed to talk with their parents about that's going to come your way.
I'll never forget. I called my uncle, and I never talked to my uncle much at that point in my life. But I got a speeding ticket while my parents were away on a cruise, and I was going to, and it was like after curfew. I was going to see I was leaving a drinking party. I hadn't been drinking, but I was leaving a party where they were drinking. And I was going to visit my girlfriend, and I got pulled over and got a ticket, and I had to call him for the money and tried to like have him keep it hush hush. And he didn't.
You didn't have a credit card at that point, probably, right?
No, nothing. I was just 16 and whatever. And so I remember having to call him about it and just being like, I got to call him. I got to call somebody. But I remember, I don't have any siblings. I'm an only child. So like I couldn't wait to be an uncle. Like I remember like now with my wife's got 2 sisters, and now the older one has he's 12, and then the younger sister now has 3 kids, and it's kind of cool because it's like you said, it's less pressure for me, and I didn't realize the effect. Like the older one, he's been listening. Like he's like, oh, I was listening to your podcast, and I was like, and I think he was talking about the teacher one. I hope, because I felt bad, but I think he was listening to this one too. But he's like so excited about it, and I remember I took them one time to like Bounce U or one of these like urban air places, and he was in the back of the car, like, kids were like, he was younger, but he was like playing in his head, like, and he was playing that he was having his own YouTube channel, because all I heard him say is, make sure you hit like and subscribe. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
And I'm just like, the kids, it's a whole different thing now. So it makes sense that he then got amped up years later, now that I have a show or something on YouTube, because like to them, that's like, like it's a status thing that.
Right. They think you're famous.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's right. That's right. That's like the TikTok. I had one video go viral on TikTok a couple months ago at the teacher podcast, and I walked around the track with my daughter at the football game. and all I heard is, "That's Mr. Yoder. He's famous."
He's signing autographs.
Well, Jess's daughter from Gatsby's there, she came up to me, or she's like, "Oh, my daughter saw you on TikTok. She thinks you're famous now."
Oh, that's so funny.
It was like, but it's just one of those things that you don't realize the impact. So I think you said earlier, like, I got to think about it in a given moment if I'm going to say something.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be proud. I think I'd be able to be proud of that. My mom too.
My oldest two nieces, one's 15, the other one's 14, and they're both on Instagram, and they both follow me, so they see something. But the one I lived with came home, and I did. So we had a guy come. He was our copier salesman, and his name was Joseph King. And I posted on Instagram and Facebook. I go, I just met a guy named Joseph King. I said he should have been a comedian. His name would have been Joe King. Joe King. And I go, I'll see myself out. My niece came home and goes, Joe King, seriously, Uncle Joel? Like, I'm not a dad, but she just literally said that, like, seriously, like,
that's where the title comes from.
She's like, that joke was garbage.
Yeah, you're garbage. This is why I didn't get any likes, because it wasn't funny. That's why.
So are you the uncle who, do you keep the secret, or do you share the secret with mom if you get a call?
Man, that's a tough one, man. I think that can we take this by case basis?
Sure, absolutely.
I think it all depends, man. I think if it's something that really betrays their trust, I won't say anything. But if it's something that's gonna hurt them, and they need to have their parents know, then I'm telling. But I think it really depends. That's such a fine line.
And that's like the parenting. That's like a nice step into, like, it's like owning a pet or a plant before you have a kid. Like, that's like the best scenario.
I killed the plant. This isn't good.
And it was a fake plant. It was
yeah.
But it's good to have those stepping stones. So I feel like, if anything, you're as close to being a parent as possible living with.
Yeah.
Now, when you said you all lived together at the 11, were the kids around then, or was this
all 11, man?
And was it hard with the cross family parenting, or did everybody kind of have, because you're one family, you kind of had the same values?
We kind of just realized that both my sisters parent in different ways, but it was just it was more or less like there was never need for a babysitter. Someone was always home, carpooling, and everybody had their own thing. Where my brother-in-law is the chef, so he did all the food shopping and cooking, the dishes, stuff like that. But I just realized, like, everybody has their own parenting stuff, so it's.
We when we lived in New York City, we lived in a brownstone in Harlem. We were very lucky. We lived in the entire brownstone. Yeah. A lot of times those things are cut up into apartments. Yeah, Joe, you lived in New York. A lot of times those are cut up into apartments. Yep. The whole building was ours. Yeah. So my brother, grandmother, aunt, my aunt's partner, her daughter, my sister, 4 dogs, because we had a backyard, and my grandma. It was very similar. But like you said, there's just always someone there to help out. There's just always someone there who's like, I'll take him, I can take him, I can pick him up, I'll make the food. Here, you can eat this, you can sleep. Oh, so-and-so needs a bath. I'll take, like, it's just, and my dad, he lives in Haiti. Well, he's not in Haiti anymore because it's dangerous, but he used to live there. And in Haiti, that's how they live. Like, the whole family is there to raise the children and be a family. And it's such a better way of doing it, because you have the uncle and an aunt and an older sibling and this and someone else you can talk to and all that stuff. So it was probably, in hindsight, it was probably like a very fun time as well. It's like probably stressful, but fun also, right?
Well, and the cousins, we called them the middles, the littles, and the olders, because they were all like the same age. Yeah. So like the twins hung out with their cousin, which was a year older. The middle two are the same age. They're different grades, but they're 6 months apart, and they still are like best friends. And the 2 older ones, they grew up like sisters too. So like it actually made it easier because they're around, and like they take care of themselves because they're all playing together,
Yeah.
And there's you get tired of each other because you're around each other so much. But yeah, for the most part, it makes it easier. Dude, the other thing too is I went from when I opened up Soul Joel's 5 years ago to having 1 employee, and then right before I left, we were up to 4. But now I have 40 employees, man. So again, even though I'm not a parent, I feel like a parent because the weight of the shoulders of their livelihood and then their family's livelihood, because they're providing for others, is on my back. So it's like a whole other. So it's like that's another stepping stone. Like, you know, worry about pets or plants. I got employees.
Yeah. So you're like you're like the head of the household at Soul Joel's, which makes sense because you own the goddamn place.
Yeah. I am not bragging. Dude, it's not, yeah.
Do your employees, do they turn to you for other things outside of just work? Like, has anyone ever been like, Joel, what would you do? Can you help me? Like, or does that not happen much for you?
I think it's happened a few times. It's funny because I don't think a lot of people like know my cat, even though I had the book and I could tell like a few of them haven't read it, because like Friday night when we had Q from Impractical Jokers drop in with Joe DeRosa, they were like, their mind was blown. I go, dude, I told you, like I've been friends with these guys for years. Like they hadn't been to Soul Joel's, but Joe DeRosa was one of the first guys we had when I was inside at Roarsford. He headlined the whole weekend, a Thanksgiving weekend, and I've been doing my shows for years. And, you know, Sal Volcano was bartending when I was in my first open mic. You know, I was in the back and he was and I watched them get that show on TV for 6 years, and it just came up on my timeline. Hey, like Impractical Jokers, you know, my friends just launching this TV show. 100 likes, and now they have millions of followers. Like, it's even crazy to think like they once needed help just like everyone else, you know?
Yeah. That was, I mean, for me, that was the coolest story. I'm sitting here, I got my Hey Babe podcast thing hanging up in my office down here. But like that Impractical Jokers, that was the coolest thing.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
So I have the Hey Babe thing in my, so that to me was cool, knowing you and knowing the story, because you've talked about it when we do the comedy school, that you come in and talk to them about. That to me was just fascinating, and I love with the Nate Bargatze and like that whole concept that like had you had kids, like you would have been able to do some of those things that you were out.
100%, man. That's why I've just been eating, breathing, and sleeping all this stuff, trying to make it all happen. And people flew in from like 6 different states to that Hey Babe on a Tuesday and a Wednesday night. I'm like, I can't get people across the Schuylkill River like 5 minutes from here. And people are like, what airport should I fly into? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, my mind was blown. They're coming in from California, Texas, and Arizona, and people came in from France. I mean, like, they were probably just visiting relatives, but still.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's that's exciting to just to have that energy around and have all of that, because like that's how we, as a family, that's how Amanda and I loved the Impractical Jokers, and we were able to put like the TV show on. True TV, thank God, during the whole pandemic was just streaming every episode that they ever had of them, and we could keep like the girls think that they're their uncles, and Alicia is such a mind trap with that. She's like, oh, is this season 5 episode 36 where Sal goes by Prince Herb now? And I'm like, and I look at because she's big on, if we're watching something, she puts the menu on so she can read the title and all of that stuff, and it just like locks in her head. Like,
and she nailed it.
It was just so funny. She's so, because even that she was talking about Pepsi. She's like logos recently. I'm wearing a Coke one, but she had a Pepsi, and I guess it used to be called Brad's Drink. And then I kid you not, the next day on Preston and Steve, that was the stupid question of the day. And I was like, I didn't even have to look that up. I knew it was Pepsi.
Wow.
But like, I was so grateful that it was family friendly, you know, and that's why I think like what you're doing at Joel's, at Soul Joel's, at Sunnybrook, you know, because now there's something there for everyone. And like, as parents, as, you know, you want to have that, you know, even my mom loves bingo, you know, like that's and when you guys were talking about having the family around, like for us, we had my mom living with us. So that was how I even got to be able to start doing comedy, because we would go and just watch the open mic during the pandemic, just Amanda and I, just get out of the house. And so when you started advertising on Facebook, you know, however many years ago, that for us was huge, because we were doing we were taking shifts, driving 15 minutes around the neighborhood just to get out. And like to have that 4 hours to just go sit in a lawn chair and listen to comedy was like, it was huge.
It was an open mic comedy, right?
Open mic comedy.
Oh my God, you guys didn't shoot
Roger and Linda, baby. Roger and Linda. Wow. That's all I'm gonna say.
And Roger may or may not have pooped his pants.
Yeah, several.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
There was the one time they were fighting in the middle of it. It was like drag out my son. There was just so much entertainment, you know. But that was huge, because like to be able to have that shared experiences, have the family around. My mom actually just moved out. So she's in her second week of living at one of the senior living places.
Assisted living or something like that?
Literally a 12-minute walk. It's 3 blocks from us. It couldn't be more ideal. We needed.
You can still come over if she wants to.
She still
comes over if needs be, right?
He puts them on the bus. So at 6:30, she's here in the morning before I leave for school, gets them ready. And it's so different because we weren't, I think for her, she's never lived alone her entire life. She's 70, never lived alone in her life. And so she's now redefining herself. It's so great to see her energy level because even though we're all family, we're living together, the styles and everything were just too different, and she wasn't getting enough of what she needed. She didn't have a partner. Her partner passed away. My other mom passed away years ago. So, she wasn't having that. And so now she's in a place where she walks out the door. She's like, oh, George was playing the piano in the community center at night so I could listen to it. And so she can just walk out of her door now and be around other people. The girls spent the weekend there because I was at Joel's pretty much all night last night. And then I was in New York on Friday. So it's just her energy levels have changed. So
not to make this awkward, but who was with your mom last time she was at Soul Joel's? There was another woman. It's been like twice.
Oh, yes. No, that's a good friend of hers from work. They actually do a church group.
I thought that was her partner.
Oh no! She's
they're just good friends.
They're just friends. We're just friends.
That woman's actually married. They're just one of her friends she met through church. I think they were in a quilting group.
Dude, she like Adam. It was like, that's Chase mom. I go, I know, but it's nice to meet you too.
That's hysterical. No,
no.
Weird.
No, my mom.
Making it weird.
My mom was so mad when we started doing this podcast, or I started telling Joseph, she was so mad that I outed her, and I'm like, Mom.
Oh, is that really?
Yeah, she was. She was very upset. I'm like, listen, we kept this a secret for a long time, sweetheart. It's done. Like,
and by the way, no one really gives a
no one cares.
And
I gotta respect it because it's her decision for that.
Right.
So she's obviously okayed the jokes that I have. She has her friends coming to a show, and she told me that under no circumstances am I allowed to say any of those jokes.
Don't do any of the gay ones.
Yeah, don't do any of the gay ones.
Stay away from the gay ones. That's
so it's like, but that's so and I gotta respect her wishes on that. But but yeah, so she's now in a position now where maybe she could have a mating. I would love for her to have a girlfriend, have a partner, whatever that's for her.
Of course.
Because she doesn't have that right now, and I want that for her. And so now I think she's way more in a position now where that could happen than she would have when she was living here. So
you guys.
It's such a blessing. It's been 2 weeks now, and I think we are redefining the house space here. So I think that for us, it was liberating to have that, but we wouldn't have been able to do all we're doing if she hadn't been here during that time either. So, it's a blessing,
Nice. I mean, family dynamics are very interesting. I think the more you can have your family around, the better. That really is I would agree with that 100%. The more you can have family around, the better. So, I mean, that's good. Joel, you and 11 people eating dinner at the same time. Oh. You're going to look back, and that's going to be one of the best periods of your life.
Oh, 100%, dude. Even right before that, when I didn't know what my fate was, when I was leaving, because we were like the hottest comedy club on the East Coast. And when we were leaving, we almost got pretty much run out of town. And I didn't know where we were going to end up. We didn't figure this out for another year after that. But I knew 6 months prior to that point that we were leaving. So it was 18 months of dark, depressing. And my mom and sister, if it wasn't for both of them, dude, I don't know where I'd be, because they were like, you didn't leave a $100,000 a year job in pharmaceutical sales and come this far to lay down. So stop being depressed and start making it happen.
Yeah.
Man, that's easier said than done, but I would rather just go take a nap.
Yeah.
I'm going to the basement. Leave me alone.
Dude, it's hard knocks, man.
That's it. Well, it's like you giving your niece that, that's a garbage throw, sweetheart. We all need that kick in the butt. And I think that's the huge part about it. That's why I think even if you don't have family's a weird term now. There's so many people have surrogate families. Our families are different. Families are divorced, right? I know you've talked about in your stand-up, your parents are divorced, and probably were they divorced? You have memories of them together?
Yeah, I have memories of them together. They got separated when I was 10, divorced when I was 12. But now my I was best man in wedding 2 and 3 for my dad. So my dad's 3 up, 3 down.
Nice.
So that's also probably another reason why I'm not married yet.
It's all their fault, by the way. It's all their fault. It's not your dad's fault at all. It's all their fault.
Yeah, he was like, he did that one thing where I'm sure you heard this. It's not your fault. 4 years later, I realized it's totally him. It was not my fault. Totally my dad's fault. But then my mom remarried my stepdad after that, and they've been together over 20 years now. 25 years together, 20 years married. And
nice.
I learned, like, there's such different guys because, like, my dad used to sell weed, and my stepdad's a retired cop. So, like, I have... but both good dudes and great role models, but, like, I'm probably a better man for having those two father figures in my life. And when Father's Day rolls around, I post about both of them because both have had a huge impact on me.
And they both deserve it. They both deserve it if they've been in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether blood or not, they both have helped for sure.
That blood shit goes away real quick. Like you're right. Well, people are related to people who shit on them. And then there's people who you're not related to who treat you like fucking gold. So the whole blood thing, I mean, that goes away real quick. If the bond is stronger, who gives a fuck if the blood's in there? I mean,
yeah, you're right. I had Ursinus reached out to me. They were doing some spotlight, and they had me answer a question. They give you a series of questions. Who was like the most influential of your time at school there? And there was a guy named Reverend Rice, who was the chaplain, who was like a father figure to me at a time when I didn't have any around. And I was like writing about him, and they just said, write like 4 or 5 sentences. And I'm like tearing up because I was like, just made me think about the value of this guy who wasn't related to me. He was this big, like 6'2", had been a Marine black guy who was
who owed you absolutely nothing. He owed you nothing.
Nothing. And he just had gone out of his way. I had some medical issues I didn't realize at the time that were keeping me from going to class. I was sleeping a lot, and when he had found out, somebody had said, this guy's going to lose his scholarship. He had been on the probationary board. He took it under to like find out, reach out to me. He stayed in touch. He married me and Amanda years later, and unfortunately he passed away a couple years ago. But like, what an instrumental guy that I'll always remember and think about. And like you said, he owed me nothing. He was like, not family, but it's amazing when people step up like that. Real uncle or fake uncle. I don't know if you guys, I had fake uncles growing up, like people that were really good friends with my parents.
Play cousins and fake uncles.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, this is Uncle Tony. You're like, who's he related to?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't ask questions. Just
it's like wedding crackers. Yeah,
what branch of the family tree is this?
Yeah. Stolen valor. That's called stolen valor in the family world.
Yeah. Family tree projects. I think I hated those growing up because then there were parts of my family that we didn't talk to.
Yeah, a little bit, a couple Brunos in there.
You can tell there was tension when I'm bringing home the paper that says we got to do this family tree.
Yeah, everyone starts looking around the table like, oh shit.
We just would go to the dollar store and I just grab the people who were already in the photo when you bought it. I'd be like, that's Aunt Shirley.
My grandmother was one of 12 kids, man. 6 boys, 6 girls. And she used to have, and each one of them had kids. They'd have family reunions. There would literally be like hundreds of people. And my grandmother was like, hey, I think those girls are checking you out. I go, they're my third cousins. Like, but third cousins, it's not bad. I go, come on.
Worse has been done up there.
Yeah.
Dude, my wife's family, they have a ton. They're all from like 5 kids. Each kid has 5 kids, and they have family reunions, and they have like a long family tree thing that they put out on display to kind of show. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it, and it's cool. I mean, we never had that, so it's cool to be a part of a family now through proxy to kind of see what it would be like to have a big family.
Yeah.
To rent a hall, have it outside.
Yeah, they do. We go to Yoder's Family Restaurant, funny enough, in Lancaster, and they rent a hall. We do, usually it's like Christmas in July, so they'll rent it on a Saturday. All the families will come because they go to, I think the grandparents go to Florida for the winter, so it's their way, and then all the families come in, we meet, they rent out one of the little buffet rooms things, and we all It's just funny that they're going to Yoder's family. My in-laws are going to my family restaurant.
That's
funny.
Yeah. Lancaster, popular Lancaster name. Yeah. Growing up in Scranton, I was called everything but Yoder. And then I moved down here and I'm like spelling it carefully on the phone. They're like, yeah, we know. Okay.
Yeah, we get it, Yoder. It's not that fucking hard.
Yeah.
I know we got to wrap up. But do you mind if I ask my one question?
Of course. Please ask your question.
Awesome. Joe, I was just wondering, because I'm an uncle myself, but like, are you, what kind of advice are you going to give them as they get older today? Some of them already at the 15, 16 where you can kind of start giving advice. Have you find yourself giving advice, and what was some of that advice that you've been giving?
Yeah, because both my parents are in sales. One of the things that kind of always stuck with me was never lie. Like, you could be a salesman and you can like try to convince someone, but if you don't lie, you never have to remember what you said. So especially as us, the amount of talking we do, whether it's on stage or to people afterwards or comics, as long as I know I'm just telling the truth of whatever happened. And with comedy, there's exaggeration, but you're not bold-faced lying. You're going to be fine. And then I can sleep well at night. I'll be like, I said what I said. And I kind of what you guys said. I live my life in front of people, whether they're there or not. So I don't care if what I said gets repeated, because I'd say the same thing whether they were there or not. I don't like that. And I just think that that's a good way to live. And I've already told that to a few of them. I'm hoping to pass that down. But that was one thing that my parents always instilled in me. And I'll never forget that.
That's actually a really good one. I try to do that on stage. I'm sure you do too, Jay. Like, we exaggerate, but if it's your story, right, no one can ever accuse you of taking it from someone else. And you never, it's your story. No, I lived that. I was actually in the DMV when that happened. Don't get angry at me. Well, it may sound a lot like what you said, but I was in the DMV and that lady really did that. So
you're like, my dad's Haitian.
yeah, exactly. That is real. He lived in Haiti, goddammit.
Well, that's an interesting topic, I know, probably for another time, but that Hassan Minhaj, the whole concept of taking a story that was his and exaggerating it, and then it's kind of like, oh, where is that line? I was listening to a podcast called The Good One, and they had Mike Birbiglia on there, and they were kind of talking about like, oh yeah, where is that line of heightening and exaggerating versus, completely changing? And it's interesting. So I think if you live that mantra of that, because I think people have come up to me and they're like, you really have an autistic daughter? Are your parents really gay? Like, all of that is true. Like, but
those are the two things they can't believe.
Yeah. Are you really a Spanish and Latin teacher? Like,
we get that you're not a gym teacher.
Like we know that's a good trivia.
They get all of those, but it's amazing how many times I get asked all those questions. Because I'm like, I'm just like, I've got so many tailor-made weird topics that have just the things that should have been doled out to probably 15 different people just all got put into me.
And
But so this is usually the part where we share things that are coming up, and we've already talked, but we'll plug it again. We're going to be at Soul Joel, so you'll see the three of us together on June 15th at 8 o'clock. Tickets are already available at souljoels.com for the comedy show and live podcast. So it's going to be really exciting. And then obviously, Joel, you got souljoel.com. You have any? This is probably.
So I didn't tell you guys because this is just happening starting tomorrow. I'm getting 3 billboards. So you guys are your face is gonna be on 422 out by Douglasville, which we've had for a year. But then there's gonna be one. I'm going back to where I used to be on Ridge Pike in Limerick. So it's still the Royersford area. By Arcadia Circle. It's nice. 2 times bigger than the other billboard. So you're going to be on that one. And then there's one on 422 in Oaks.
Okay.
So starting in another, basically 2 weeks before the date. So right around June 1st, you guys will be on those billboards.
Oh, sweet.
For 2 weeks leading up to it. So we're going to pack the place.
If you drive by those billboards, take pictures of them. Tag them and put it on Soul Joel's.
Dude, it's cool. When I get the proofs to check it out, they look really cool. And every comic I send it to, they're like, is this real? Like, comics are like, dude,
yeah, you're right. Because I've seen a couple of them, I'm like, wow, is that real? Because it is. It's so cool to see that. It's incredible. I've had people, like kids, obviously, parents, people that,
really? That have seen it?
That have seen my face, either from the Late Night Laughs one, even just when I was on the Sunnybrook one. Oh, I saw your name or the email. And it's funny because some of them, I don't talk about it at work, but it's just one of those, not that I wouldn't. I just,
Right.
It's just one of those things that's funny to hear people come up to me and be in the bathroom and I'd be like, I think I saw your face on, or I was in the bathroom. Said I was there. Where some of them were at other events, and they're like, I was going to the bathroom. I was staring at your face.
Yeah. You're like, perfect.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. Just check out, go follow us on Instagram at Soul Joels, Facebook Soul Joels at Sunnybrook, and then go to souljoels.com. I tell people all the time, just scroll through, because sometimes people I missed the show. You're like, dude, algorithms and all that stuff. You just got to check out what's happening. And thank you, Neil, for posting it. It's not funny. It's my book out, and it's my whole story about how I ended up here. So people don't realize I started as a comic, and but now I got into producing, so I'm not as funny as you two.
Yeah, well, we're so grateful for it. It's been awesome to have all the opportunities. So we thank you.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, brother.
Seriously, Dad.
Thank you for listening to the Dads. For once, give these daddies a break. And maybe follow, subscribe, like, and comment to the Dads on Instagram and YouTube at Seriously Dad Pod. Rate and review Seriously Dad Podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Seriously, Dad.
Hey everybody, how you doing? This is comedian Neil Wood and
Adam Nutter.
We can't do it like that. You have to sound like a human being. That's insane. Because I'm realizing how little you're talking.
Adam Nutter.
I could just take, if you just want me to, honestly, you know what we need to do is you just need to get that clean.
Adam Nutter.
And then I'll just pop it in wherever I need to, bud.
Adam Nutter. Let's do that.
Come listen to the Cult of Us podcast. That's our promo.
Adam Nutter.
A Drop Tent Media Network podcast. Go to droptent.com or search Cult of Us podcast on your favorite podcast platform.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.